We live yet? We are live. All right, everyone. Another reading of Bible Prophecy Secrets. This is about East versus West, Zionism versus BRICS. And I want to talk about this book more. This is authored by my hubby Love, which you can see. This is Abraham. And he's with Overcome Babylon. And this book, guys, everyone, seriously, I mean, let me brag for him because, well, he is my hubby and I love him, but he is a very talented writer and he knows Bible. Like, he has taught me, I'm probably his first disciple, actually. He met me when I was a first, brand new baby Christian. That same year we met around that time when I met Jesus for the first time, and he has taught me so much about Bible. And this was 10 years that we've been married, and we're dating a year before that. Anyway, this book is on Amazon. It is in the top top 100 for Christian eschatology and Christian prophecy for both categories. And you can get access to this book. He actually put some training together. The first 3 chapters are free. You can go into Overcome Babylon, his channel, his newsletter, or you can go to mine. And basically, you can download or actually access this training from both of our newsletters. And the top tab, you'll see 70 weeks of Daniel. And I forgot what we listed for yours. But anyways, everyone, I want him to do the reading and talk about his book a little bit and however he wants to introduce this. And we're going to be talking about Bible prophecy unfolding. That is the topic for the day.
Yeah, guys. So thank him. Appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Look, we're trying out Substack for a number of reasons. First of all, Substack is a really cool platform. If you're kind of new to it, which we are, it's very author-centric. It's obviously for writers, but it's a community that's more pensive. You think about things a lot more. You think about the nature of the universe, the way things work. There's a lot of different topics and categories. But of course, this is Bible prophecy. And I've noticed that the Overcome Babylon YouTube channel has gotten shadow banned. It's pretty obvious. I lose subscribers by sometimes a dozen or more a day. They just leave, and that's not normal. There's nothing usually that's happened to me in the past when I put something that's very provocative or negative, and then people leave the channel. But I've just been putting out very neutral, interesting content. There's no reason why people should be leaving by a dozen people a day or whatever. So YouTube has shadow banned the channel. That's why the channel hasn't grown like it could. So don't want to get too lost in the weeds there, but Substack's great. TikTok has grown a little bit, and then we've had success on Instagram lately. But yeah, the whole landscape of connection, online connection, finding communities, places, and people to share this message with, to interact with, to have meaningful experiences with, it can be hard because of censorship. So with that said, Substack, I hope the community here can develop over time. We can do something cool together. Like Kim said, we're going to jump into Bible Prophecy Secrets. Right now, we see it on the world stage. First weekend of 2026, Trump overthrows Maduro in Venezuela. Not necessarily successfully, because many elements of the Maduro government remain in place, but that's an East versus West move. I know we're all in the Western Hemisphere, but Venezuela is aligned with the East through BRICS country partnerships. Not that they're a part of BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa plus. I'm not saying that, but what we're clearly seeing is West versus East. And the United States, the biggest enemies that the United States is facing in this whole struggle for power and world domination is the Iran Ayatollahs, and of course, China and Russia. And so sanctions, the use of sanctions, weaponizing the US dollar, fighting for dominance over the world's resources, whether it's rare earth minerals, oil, water, food, you name it, commodities. We see this West versus East paradigm. And when's the last time you looked at Daniel chapter 8, Kim? I'm just curious.
I know we talk about it all the time, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. And so there's a key verse in verse 23. And don't mind the bathtub over here in the RV, like right there. That's just the camera will sometimes do that to me. Um, we're kind of ghetto over here. We live in the country. But when you look at Daniel chapter 8, verse 23, it clearly lays this out: west versus east. Uh, it clearly says that something is going to happen in the latter time of the kingdom of the west. So, what I'm going to do, we're going to do it together. We're going to jump in here to Daniel chapter 8. It's page 198 of Bible Prophecy Secrets. I'm just going to start reading. You guys feel free to follow along. We're just going to hang out, have some fun. Think about it like just being at a coffee shop or a Barnes and Noble, where we just hang out. We do a book club, we do a reading, and we get to just relax and just think about some things for a second and take some time out of the busyness of the day to talk about prophecy. So let me start reading on page 198. Here's what I write. The fundamental idea for understanding this entire chapter is found in this verse. And the vision of the evenings and mornings which was told is true. Therefore, seal up the vision, for it refers to many days in the future. So we're talking about future end times prophecy from Daniel's perspective. Now, one thing that I do in my work, there's a reason why there's a clock on the cover. Like, it's not just, cool, like artwork or whatever, but this book is all about how to tell time God's way, how to keep track of time God's way. And so, yes, the central focus of Daniel chapter 8 is the evenings and mornings. There's 2,300 of these, whatever it is that it's talking about, because it doesn't use the word day, yom, in Hebrew. It just says ereb boker, ereb dash boker in the Hebrew. So it's evenings, mornings. There's 2,300 of them. I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but let's establish the context. So I'm going to keep reading. Top of page 199, it says, we are once again told that Daniel was commanded to seal up the words of this prophecy by purposely writing them down in a coded way. He wrote these words so that they would not be easily understood. Just like the 70 weeks vision, this prophecy is not meant to be merely read, but studied. The little horn is the central focus of Daniel chapter 8, and it was prophesied that this power would be responsible for the destruction of many people. But what is the identity of this little horn? Let me bring you up to speed. By the way, you can hear me, right, Kim? Everything's good?
Yep. Yeah, no, I like
Cool,
your
cool.
flow. And honestly, really quick, I really
Yeah, go ahead.
love how you explained the beginning of how you got the clock or why you decided on the clock. That was yeah. I was actually thinking about that before we started when I was waiting for you to jump on. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna explain that. Like it's just actually pretty cool. Abraham actually did he did the graphics for this book. So like this wasn't paid out by anyone. We are like, we do everything from scratch around here, especially this guy here. But
Yeah,
go
and
ahead.
that was before AI. I don't like using AI for artwork. It cheapens everything, and it makes, if you start using AI, people start questioning, even subconsciously, is this person real or fake, or are they just kind of like faking everything? So I make all my artwork not with AI. I do it by hand, or I hire a graphic designer from Venezuela, of all places. My graphic designer from Venezuela. We speak Spanish. It's great. But yeah, no, the clock is important. We're learning how to keep track of time God's way. And actually, if you notice, the clock is actually pointed to 7 o'clock. And there's a reason I did that, because obviously we do a lot of counting by sevens. 7 times 7 times 7. So there you go. 7 o'clock. So let me continue reading top of page 199. And you can interrupt me anytime, Kim.
Okay.
The first verses of Daniel 8 record a vision that Daniel had about two different geopolitical powers: a Persian ram from the east and a Greek goat from the west, that were attacking one another, with the goat prevailing. An angelic messenger by the name of Gabriel speaks these words to Daniel after he had the vision, and he explains the meaning. This is what he says, verse 19 of Daniel 8. Behold, I'm reading from the Tree of Life version too. That's the one I have here in the book. Behold, I am going to inform you about what will happen later in the time of wrath For the vision pertains to the appointed time of the end. The ram that you saw with the two horns stands for the kings of Media and Persia. The buck, the male goat, the one that wins, is the king of Greece, and the large horn between his eyes is the first king. The four horns that replace the one that was broken represent four kingdoms that will arise from this nation, though not with its power. Now, toward the end of the reign, when the measure of transgression is completed, a stern-faced king, a master of intrigue, will arise. Now, when you read, again, I told you at the very beginning, Daniel 8:23, that's talking about a last days, end times king that comes from Greece. Now, we're not to look at that literally. Like, we're not literally looking for a Greek speaker in the time of the end. What it's clearly saying is there's west versus east. The Greece is a kind of a general description. The east with Persia, Media, that's just a general description of two powers that are clashing. This will become more clear as we just skip over to page 200. And so what we're being shown here is that it is a west versus east situation. So here's what I say. It's kind of at the top upper third of the page on page 200. We are now at the exact moment in history when the little horn of the male goat from Greece, from the west, right? That we're just looking at that generally, not super specifically. Like, we're not looking at Greece right now. But so the male goat has risen up and fulfilled the transgression of desolation from Daniel 8:13. Keep in mind that it is specifically because of transgression, open rebellion against the God of the Bible and his Torah, that all these things have taken place. Look at what Daniel 8:23 says about this mysterious little horn. Now, I'm quoting from the New King James, and I write in here, compare this New King James translation to the tree of life quoted earlier. It says, in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall arise, having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. Now, I'm going to say something radical. But, go ahead, Kim.
You sound a little muffled when you bring the phone close to your face, so just let you know that.
Oh, that's weird because I'm using a lapel mic. It should be totally solid, right?
Yeah, only when you bring it closer to you. So, but keep on going.
When I bring it closer, it's muffled.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You guys hear? I actually see Stephanie praising out always, and Bill Vipperman. Can you guys hear? Fine. If you guys are having problems hearing anything, let us know. Okay. Go ahead.
So, like I was saying, I'm reading from page 200 right now, right? I just finished reading from page 200. There's a reason why I'm at page 200, and this isn't like page 10 or page 1. So there are 200 pages of analysis that I lay out leading up to this. And so just keep that in mind. So what I'm about to say next is going to sound very radical. It's going to sound very strange. It's going to sound like another cherry-picked, slapped together, tabloid Christian perspective on the Bible and prophecy, which that is what a lot of people are guilty of doing. They go to the nightly news, they go to zerohedge.com or Fox News, CNN. They grab a few headlines and like, hey guys, is this the mark of the beast, Revelation 13:18? Hey guys, is this the 10 Kings alliance with Trump establishing 10 leaders to take over Gaza? And people just start making stuff up on the fly. And I know as I explain what I'm about to explain, it's going to sound similar to that tabloid, clickbait, kind of hustle culture of Christian social media, but that's not what this is. It's very methodical. So again, we're talking about East versus West, and we are now at a point in history where we actually can understand that the 2,300 prophecy of Daniel chapter 8 has actually been fulfilled because the king having fierce features from the West, remember, Greece is just a representation of the West, in the latter time, this is key. I'm about to read something that's very key. We understand so much now. We have so much clarity now. Towards the very end of the Western power structure, How close are we now to the end of the Western power structure? You now have BRICS with a gold-backed currency. BRICS represents an Eastern power. Russia, China, Iran, the top three in the alliance militarily, they are Eastern. Then you have North Korea with nuclear weapons able to reach the United States. It's all Eastern power. See, now we're starting to get some context. The BRICS nations they just launched their gold unit. It's called a unit. And they launched a pilot program in October that rivals the hegemony of the West in the US petrodollar. That just happened in October. And in December, we got some more headlines talking about how BRICS is now rivaling the West with this currency, gold backed. We haven't seen something like this since President Nixon. President Nixon in the 1970s took the United States off of a gold standard. And what we've had since then is just a imperialistic, petroleum based, who can dominate the world and coerce the world into trading with this type of dollar based off of fiat. Fiat is, in essence, is full faith and credit in the U.S. government to fulfill its promises of paying debt. Now, I don't know about you, but when you look at what the U.S. government does on the daily, that's not, I don't know if I really want to have full faith and credit in that kind of a dollar. And so the world understands this. And that's why you have the gold backed unit. And it's not just that it's gold backed, but also that it's backed by law and order. See, BRICS is it's like I had Waleed Shoebat. Remember, Kim? I had Waleed Shoebat on Overcome Babylon, and we were talking about this, and he said, yeah, it was a week ago. Yeah. We were talking about how when Christians, tend to look at prophecy, they look at all of the Gog, Magog, Ethiopia, Persia alliance as being inherently demonic. Everything they do is demonic. It's a 10 kings satanic alliance that's going to destroy Zionism in Jerusalem and the West. It's not that they're righteous, right? They're not walking on clouds and have harps and halos over their heads either, but they actually have introduced a more righteous system of commodities-backed, gold-backed, honest money. And when you look at what money is in the Bible, honest money is silver, gold, land, cattle. Those are the actual measures of wealth, not a unitless, dimensionless, endless money printer of paper that relies on the full faith and credit of a system that can't even deliver on its promises, and then coerces, steals, and exploits other resources of other nations to actually make that money worth something. Now you understand Venezuela. Now we're starting to see why they need that oil. Now we understand why they need Greenland to also dominate whatever rare earth minerals they can find up there, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. Now, I know that sounds like a little bit of a rant, but it's absolutely necessary to understand what I'm about to say next, which is going to sound like tabloid Christian stuff. Sorry, I honked the horn on accident. I'm in my car. I'm in my Ford. If you have a Chevy, that's okay. I still love you. But yeah, we're Ford around here. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I wrote, page 200. Okay. This little horn is the World Economic Forum. Remember, towards the latter time of the Kingdom of the West. Okay. I'm going to keep reading. I won't interrupt myself too much. I want to read this so you can really soak it in. This little horn is the World Economic Forum, and more specifically, Klaus Schwab. The little horn of the male goat began its authority as being little and insignificant, but it then grew to become exceedingly great throughout the world. Make no mistake about it, Daniel was describing Schwab, who was insignificant until 2020. And after the pandemic, he truly became great. Notice that these events are during the quote-unquote latter time of the Kingdom of the West. This language further adds validity to the analysis presented in chapter 4, where Islam in the East will rise up and prevail as the head of the next world order. This outcome will become more apparent after we discuss the abomination of desolation later in this chapter.
Hold on.
I'm just going to pause for a second. Yeah, I'm going to pause for a second.
We're on page 200. So just to let y'all know, in this book, if you're just now getting on. So we're doing a reading of Abraham's beautiful work here. Okay, go ahead.
Appreciate that, Kim. Yeah, we're in chapter 6. And so here's what I say next. I have already described the sinister schemes of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, but I now want to point your attention to the symbolism that Klaus Schwab used to identify himself and his people. The World Economic Forum 2022 annual meeting opened the eyes of many people to the possibility of Schwab playing a biblical end times role and further confirmed what I have already been showing you from Daniel. Based on charges of simply appearing suspicious, journalist Jack Posobiec was detained by police for covering the secret world government meeting in May 2022 in Davos, Switzerland. Someone with a smartphone recorded this encounter with police, and the video clip and interaction went viral on social media. The problem is that it wasn't just ordinary police that harassed Posobiec. It was World Economic Forum police, wielding submachine guns and wearing identification patches on their arms that actually depicted a one-horned male goat. You can't make this stuff up. Can you see that on screen? You can see it, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
So when you guys know, like if you've been following my work for a while, I look at symbolism both on a national level, heraldry, but also when it comes to things like this. Appreciate that, Kim. Yeah, you have the one-horned male goat. That is what Klaus Schwab had been using for decades, and they still do for the World Economic Forum. And you can't make this up. And journalists, there's a guy named Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz, also speculated. This is an article, I believe, it was from the Jerusalem Post or it was Reuters, I believe, but one journalist was like, is this talking about something having to do with Daniel's prophecy? I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to read all of this. But here's what I say on basically near the bottom of page 201. In other words, contrary to the disinformation of the mainstream media outlets like Reuters, who were quote unquote fact checking and controlling the narrative on social media, the World Economic Forum patch is not the same thing as is what is seen in local police patches. The one-horned male goat is unique to the WEF's identity and absolutely connects to the prophecy of Daniel. So, what I'll kind of wrap up with here is the fact that towards the latter time, remember, that's what we were talking about here in Daniel chapter 8, towards the latter time of the kingdom of the West, one of the last things that they would be able to do, the Western power structure, is COVID-19. It was one of the last things they were ever going to be able to implement successfully on a world stage. And that's why Daniel 8 is so important, that now that we're so close to the Western Empire collapsing. And it's very clear that that's happening because there's this reactionary, almost insane, lunatic type of behavior happening right now with not just the Trump administration, but every time Netanyahu comes to pay the White House a visit, there's, whether it's riots in Iran that are funded and backed by Mossad, or all these other things that are happening, the West is desperately trying to start wars, land grab, overthrow regimes or governments, because they know that their time is running out. The clock is ticking. And so that's where we are right now. Towards the very latter time of the Western power structure, COVID-19 was one of the last agendas. Remember what it said here: sinister schemes that the West was going to be able to successfully implement before the East finally takes over. And so, without getting into a lot more of the analysis and really going on anything super deep and crazy, just understand that the 2,300 days, let's talk about the 2,300 days, because I mentioned it at the beginning, right? 2,300. This is what it says in Daniel chapter 8, verse 13. I'm reading from page 209. It says here, actually, I want to read page 208, the bottom, and then the top of page 209. So here's what is said to Daniel, okay? Or this is what he writes. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to that certain one who was speaking, how long will the vision be concerning the daily sacrifices? Of course, I have those things italicized, concerning sacrifices, because those things are not found in the original Hebrew language. So how long will the vision be? The daily and the transgression of desolation, the giving of both the sanctuary and the host, to be trampled underfoot. And he said to me, for 2,300 days, and the sanctuary will be cleansed. But see, the problem is in the Hebrew language, which I actually show right on, right here on the page, there's a few words missing that they're translated into English, but it's not actually there in the Hebrew. One of the key ones is obviously sacrifices. Throw that out. That's not in the original Hebrew language. And the other one is days. So whenever I talk to anyone about the 2,300 of Daniel, that prophecy, they automatically assume that it's talking about days. And I'm going to cut to the chase, right? I'm going to get to the point so I can just show you, because it's going to blow your mind when I just explain figure 6.10. We're going to go to figure 6.10. It's page 212. When you just look at COVID-19 towards the latter time of the kingdom of the West, this is one of the last things they were going to be able to do. COVID-19, the pandemic was declared on March 11th, 2020. And check this out. When you figure out when it was declared by Ghebreyesus, the Director General of the World Health Organization, it was on March 11th, 2020. You go to May 5th, 2023. And that is a duration of exactly 2,300 evening mornings. Not days, but evening mornings. That's a key distinction to make here because that's the language of the Hebrew prophecy. So remember, you have this little horn, the little goat. He actually rules not by his own power, the scriptures say, not by his own strength, because he didn't have any of the traditional power structure of a military. Remember, he's using Swiss police to carry out his orders, right? He's not using it. He doesn't have borders. The World Economic Forum did not have borders. It didn't have a military. It didn't have its own currency. It didn't have any of the traditional elements of the Western power structure. It was a small horn. It became great, and it ruled not by its own power, but it was still able to become great throughout the whole entire world. Yes, even trampling underfoot the Holy Land, the set-apart land, Jerusalem, which is part of the prophecy as well. The lockdowns. How many times were they boosted? Triple boosted over there in Israel. It was one of the most vaccinated countries in the entire world. I mean, I could go on and on about Israel. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, no, it's so sad. They are one of the most vaccinated and forced vaccination. I mean, I can't say forced, I mean, obviously, but like over 94, 95% of their population. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the statistics in here, actually. It's in chapter 9. I believe it's chapter 9, but yeah, their vaccination rate was extremely high. But so the point is that this last move of the Western power structure, the last really big quantifiable move was the COVID-19 agenda. And it lasted for 2,300. Okay, I'm going to explain this. From March 11th, 2020 to May 5th. May 5th, 2023 was the officially declared end. That's when not the World Economic Forum, but the World Health Organization said we are declaring an end to the pandemic. Now, by this time, most people already fell asleep. They're like, well, it's already been over in my mind. Who cares about the pandemic? It's already over. But when you're looking at Bible prophecy, you have to look at decrees made by international regulatory bodies, decrees made by presidents, made by high-ranking officials. All these things matter, especially, because God's law talks about a man's word being his bond. There's that principle in the Torah, in the law. And so what we actually have, thanks for showing it on screen there, Kim, is we have 1,150 evenings, 1,150 mornings for 2,300 total evening mornings from March 11th, 2020 to May 5th, 2023. This is the official duration of the pandemic, and it's exactly 1,150 days. Now, what's interesting about when it ended is there was a partial lunar eclipse. That's why you see that kind of moon where it says end declared in figure 6.10. There's a partial lunar eclipse. That lunar eclipse was visible over Wuhan, China. It was very centrally located over China. And so, yes, this is actually the fulfillment of one of the very last moves that the West was going to make in the latter time of the kingdom of the West. It actually was the COVID-19 agenda. So that's actually one of the big things. Again, just to kind of pause there, that's why I called this book Bible Prophecy Secrets, because you have to actually go to the original Hebrew. It's not easy to understand these things. It requires questioning everything we've ever been taught from seminaries and churches. And that's not, there's core fundamental things that shouldn't, be questioned, not in the sense that we close our minds and we shudder in fear. No, I can't question that. No, it's just there's things that are good, things that are holy and righteous that are taught from church and seminary. The divinity of Jesus, the inspiration of the Word of God, the infallibility and the inerrancy of Scripture. These things are all good. The canon of Scripture, some church history. We need to know some church history that's taught from the pulpits and seminaries. But when it comes to prophecy, there are things that were sealed until the time of the end. And that is what people have such a hard time with. They're like, no, this is the way my church taught it. Greek Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Coptic Church, evangelical, Southern Baptist, all my denomination can't be wrong. But this when it comes to prophecy, that's where we need to maintain a very open mind, because some of the biggest events that the world has ever seen, I mean, the lockdown of the entire world over a virus, that should make anyone raise eyebrows and be like, could it be possible that we missed something in our interpretation of Scripture somewhere? Because this is unprecedented. Then we have nuclear weapons. You have all these nations developing, accumulating, being in an arms race over nuclear weapons, and they're pointing them at each other. Could it be possible that the Bible speaks very specifically about that thing as well? And what about BRICS with its gold-backed currency coming up against the West? You have a 10 Kings alliance, BRICS 10 right now. It's a BRICS 10 alliance, and they're rivals of Zionism. A lot of the rulers and leaders talk about Zionism negatively. They talk about the West being a Freemason entity. They're coming up against the West. Could it be that maybe there's something to this West versus East paradigm in the last days with nuclear weapons? Like, maybe there's something we should be looking at in the Scriptures. And so that's what I've endeavored to do. Thanks, Kim, for hosting this live. And I hope it's kind of benefited everyone who's joined us here, whether you joined a little later or you've been kind of with us from the beginning. God bless you guys.
Before we end everything, I just want to bring, because when we talk about prophecy, especially like what he's talking about with the 2,300 days, East versus West, it gets bleak. Like, people tend to fear and go into fear more. And I was reading in Job. First off, I want to share with you just to give you guys encouragement, okay? And hopefully you guys all can hear me. I had someone say that I was a little soft, so I'm closer to the mic here. But I'm going to go to, this is Jeremiah 30:11. And this is what he says, "For I am with you to save you, declares the Lord. I will make a full end of all nations among whom I'm scattered you, but of you I will not make a full end." Now he continues, "I will discipline you in just measure, and I will by no means leave you unpunished." So that is what's happening. I hear an echo. There's an echo.
Sorry.
So, oh goodness.
Go ahead, Kim. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So hopefully just to know that is exactly what prophecy is all about. And there's still an echo.
I can mute myself for a second. Go ahead.
Okay. So that's what the whole purpose of why we're going through this is, because there is a regathering and God is on the throne right now. As we speak, Christ is right there on his right hand, and he wants us back. He wants us back to the land. There is a actual land covenant, and it's not going to be given to Israel until Jesus comes and reigns. So this is all just a showdown for the coming of our King. So we should rejoice in what's happening. So I want you guys to be encouraged by any talk that I have on my channel. Anytime Abraham talks about it, always be encouraged. This is not to put anyone in fear, just to get your hearts ready and prepared. And also, I do believe that there is a physical element, just like Joseph. Joseph was warned about the coming famine, and he also prepared for it. So it's be Joseph. It's prepare for this as much as we can and allow God and have faith that he's going to prepare or meet us where we can't, because we're human. We're never going to be 100% perfect for what is coming. But one other encouragement, I was reading in Job today, and I just, Job is so amazing. I have to do this for seminary, and so I'm doing some like feature reading for next week, and this was Job 12, I believe. And I didn't have this ready right up hand, but I really just want to share this with y'all. And Abraham, this is for you too. Like, it's something I was reading this morning with my coffee. If I can find it, where it start, I think it's right
Cool.
here.
Yeah, let's hear it. And we're supposed to be reading Job together. We'll keep doing that. So
Yeah, I'm ahead of you now. Okay, but we can go back and reread everything because it's so good. And if I can remember, because I just want to give you a couple of verses, and I just want to see where I'm supposed to start from. Okay. With God are wisdom and might. He is counsel and understanding. If he tears down, none can rebuild. If he shuts a man in, none can open. If he withholds the water, they dry up. If he sends them out, they overwhelm the land. With him are strength and sound wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. He leads counselors away stripped. He leads counselors away stripped, and judges he makes fools. He loosens the bonds of kings and binds a waistcloth on their hips. He leads priests away stripped and overthrows the mighty. He deprives of speech of those who are trusted and takes away the discernment of the elders. He pours contempt on princes and looses the belt of the strong. He uncovers the deeps out of darkness and brings deep darkness to light. He makes nations great, and he destroys nations. You hear that? He destroys nations. He enlarges nations. He leads them away. He takes away understanding from the chiefs of the people of the earth and makes them wander in trackless waste. They grope in the dark without light, and he makes them stagger like drunken men. Or drunken man. So that is my encouragement. Just know that we have someone that's much greater than us that's in charge. And so as these end time events are coming, they're coming quick. Like even yesterday, if you've been paying attention to the news, lots of crazy things are happening. But just take how should I say it? Just set your heart on that of scripture and on the words of Christ, because he is only one that can actually help us through what's coming. He is our hope. He is our living hope. You can walk out into the traffic and some drunken person might hit any of us. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So like when it comes to survival, people want to hold to their life and they get fearful. Look, your breath today was already guaranteed because God allowed it. And he is going to allow you to either live and survive what's coming, or if he takes you away, just rejoice in that, because you get to be with him, our blessed hope. Anyways, I just want to leave you with that.
yeah, what was the reference for that where it says he destroys nations? What was it specifically?
That was Job 12:23.
Job 12:23. Yeah, that was really good. That's why I asked. That was really good. So.
Yep. There's still an echo, but I will actually. Do you want me to close it off today, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead, Kimmy.
Okay. Just go ahead and mute. All right, everyone. So we're going to try to do this. I'm going to be on here on Thursday afternoons, kind of doing a reading of this book. I would like for Abraham to join, but he's always busy. He's doing so much with Overcome Babylon. But like I said, you can get this. You can get access to the first 3 chapters and a training. If you don't have a copy already, you get the first 3 chapters, go through my newsletter, and to one of the tabs, it says 70 weeks of Daniel, or 70 weeks. And Abraham also has a link in his. You can go on Amazon. Also, if you follow, I highly suggest getting the training. Like, literally, go through our newsletter, get this copy, the first 3 chapters, and do the training. It's really amazing. He will send you an actual email of was it 5 days of training? I can't remember.
Oh, it's 3 days. Yeah. 3
Okay.
days of three video trainings. Actually, there's a bonus one. I'm not supposed to talk about that one, but there's a bonus one in there. So you're right. It's actually 4.
Okay. So there you go. Everyone, all right, have a good day. And this is going to be on YouTube. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, I will put a link in the description to access the training. So you can actually get the first 3 chapters for free and go through the training on Bible prophecy. All right, everyone, have a good day. Take care.